Tim, you were quick to point out when promoting the Wills and Bequests program that the sensitivity issue involved. That is that, to some extent, of course, we are, in even thinking about this, confronting our own mortality.
Absolutely. One of the most confronting things I did in theological school, I'd been working as a lawyer, I went and studied theology in Zurich, was a class on death and dying. The first hour they said, map out your birth or the significant events in your life and make an estimate of the year, the date when you're going to die. As a 26-year-old, I was terribly confronted by this. Me, going to die, picking a date, how foolish. It was the best thing I ever did because one, it helped me confront that I have this wonderful gift of life, but I am going to die. Two, that the only thing I really have is time. It's the thing that is most valuable, and it's why someone who wastes your time really is a thief, because that's all we've got. And putting in a date actually gave me a sense that I actually want to use this time. I want to live a life that is consistent with my deepest values, not getting sidetracked, not being frivolous. I want to be focused, intentional. And confronting that death at an early age was very important for me.
You've been quoted as saying, Tim, that politics is my temptation, but not my vocation. I feel absolutely committed to what I'm doing. Had you actually become a career politician, could you have achieved anywhere near as much in Canberra as you have at World Vision?
Well, this is the great mystery of life. Who knows? But I certainly have been able to live out my values, my faith, my sense of convictions with freedom. Once you're in a political party, you're worried about your pre-selection and towing a party line. You're worried about your promotion, whether you're ever going to get to be a minister and therefore toe the party line. And I think that sort of discipline, I understand it, but I think, one, it makes people cynical. Are they really saying what they think, or is this just the party line? And two, I think it would have been very cramping, maybe crippling on my style. So for me, as I say, it's always a temptation, thinking if I'm there I could pull these levers of power. But I think I have a voice, I influence, I feel I've made the right choice.
Upon graduation from Monash University, you practiced, didn't you, as a solicitor, both in family law and criminal law. What was the point at which you decided to follow a theological path?
Well, when I did theology, I was doing it to come back and be a better lawyer. I was thinking about questions of justice. Every client in crime I represented always repented on the steps of the court, and I might keep them out of prison only to discover they'd gone back to a life of crime. Family law is very discouraging. People who loved each other, often not just fighting over the kids, but scratching each other's eyes out over property. And so I really did theology saying, I don't want to be reactive, I want to be proactive. I want to go deeper than simply treat the symptoms. And I came back and for the next 10 years worked as a lawyer and as a minister. It took me a long time to move from law to grace and complete the journey. So I've done both. I'm passionate about both. And theology was actually really prompted by what I was experiencing as a lawyer.
A Baptist minister, a former mayor of St Kilda, and your many past and present roles on boards and committees suggest to me that you've always been utterly determined to make a difference.
Yeah, I think I don't have a messiah complex. I don't say it all depends on me, but I am certainly convinced that if there are things I can do, and I don't, I'm not being true to my faith, to my values. So I don't for a moment believe I'm the one to change the world, I'm the one to save, I'm the one to make a difference, but I do believe that I can actually live consequentially with my deepest values. And that's my test, and that's what I've tried to do.
When you find yourself in one of those developing nations where poverty is rife, death of children is manifest, do you ever lose heart?
Yeah, sometimes you are overwhelmed by human malevolence. Going to Darfur and Sudan, the first trip I did, and seeing Every woman that I'd spoken to who had been raped or knew of someone raped, I was really overwhelmed with why? In violence and conflict can humans, males particularly, be so evil? So there are moments when I actually really struggle. But the reverse of that is often in places which are poor, I see community and song and dance and story and connection to land. And I come back to Australia where we've actually solved at least the big problems of poverty, you know. How many mobile phones a 16-year-old girl needs and how many widescreen TVs a home needs. And I go, why then do we have epidemics of depression and youth suicide levels that are so high? We also aren't just saying poverty is about giving you some money and then you won't have a problem. We have a problem. We should be learning from communities that actually celebrate and tell stories, and remembering some things that are pretty fundamental about relationship and community and living out our values. So I get nurtured also, as well as often challenged. The gift of life is actually to say, I can actually moan and whinge and compare myself to someone who's richer. We rarely compare ourselves to someone who's poorer. Or I can say, wow, this is a blessing that I can live out my values, that I can make a difference to someone. And in that, the mystery of giving, of serving, I actually find deep joy. I find my real self. I'm enriched and grow as a person.
Tim, you've been the recipient of many prestigious awards, amongst them an Order of Australia in 2005, the Australian Peace Prize in 2008. But I'm wondering what your reaction was when you learned, in fact, that you've been listed as a national living treasure.
I thought it was April Fool's Day. Apparently there was a survey where Australians voted for their 100 national living treasures. I never saw it. Truth be told, I've never met anyone who actually voted, but who am I to distrust the press? So I went up to Sydney Town Hall and I was there along with lots of people like Dawn Fraser and Gough Whitlam and people like that. So it was an honour. I keep it in its right place. It doesn't mean I have to get a permit to have a haircut, even though it's National Trust who awarded it. But yeah, it was a surprise.
Tim Costello, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for talking to us.
A pleasure.